There would be an expected attendance of 150 people, at least. 74 of them would be the board members of FCM, 15 staff members, 40 observers, and 20 media. And we would expect a number of delegates to travel with their spouses to this event, which would be over and above that 150. Just highlight some of the current members of the board of directors for FCM. A couple of the good ones there is the Mayor of Vancouver, Deputy Mayor of Quebec City, Mayor of Brampton, and Mayor of Lacny, Quebec is actually the chair at this point. These are some pretty high-level people that will be going back to their community if we do get this event to talk about, and will talk about us while they're there, when they get home. In order to hold this event, we have some responsibilities. In order to go about hosting it, we're looking for an investment from each of the municipalities that I have listed here: the town of Yarmouth, the municipality of Yarmouth, and the municipality of Argyll, of $12,500 each. The municipality of Yarmouth has, in principle, agreed to do this event. The municipality of Yarmouth.
Of Argyll?
Yarmouth.
Of Yarmouth. I can't hear. Sorry. All right.
FCM spends in excess of the investment that we would put into the event to put on the portions of the event that they are responsible for. Some of the portions that we're responsible for are some of the social events that happen, so we get to network and whatnot with those people.
Rick, if I can interrupt, the bits that you just mentioned, we would be responsible for. Does that come out of the 12.5?
It's 12.5 each.
It's not in addition to that, though. That's it. That's the number.
Yeah, that's the number that each of those three municipalities would be responsible for putting in total. There's some estimated economic impact numbers, which I know was of interest when this topic first came up. The initial expenditure would be in the region of $266,000. This number is individual visitor spending, hotel rooms, and the amount needed to execute the event. So that total amount of money that the municipalities will put in, plus the amount FCM would spend on top of that to actually organize the event. Of that number, $148,000 would be about the number they would expect would go towards wages and whatnot that businesses would spend on that. Employment would be about 5.3 equivalent full-time jobs. This is not, we're not creating jobs. This is, we're going to get extra shifts and whatnot coming out of that. And that's how this number works out. It's not, we're going to hire 5 people to put this on. It's in addition to.
Councilor Mooney, did you want to ask the question now, or do you want to, it's up to you. I don't,
Go for it if you want.
me.
Yeah, go for it. No, ask away.
Just in a calculation, Rick.
Yep.
So initial expenditure 266,983 includes individual visitors. So the 3 municipal units are asked to do 12,500 each, comes to 37,500.
Yep.
But what does the FCM themselves put in?
They would spend at least 40 grand to put this on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like I think the CAO said, so if we have 150?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
150 come here and they use the Mariner Center.
Yep.
That rent and everything else comes out of the 37,500. We're not going to have somebody come in later and say we're renting the Mariner Center, so we need rental covered for the Mariner.
No,
Center.
I built all that right into that budget,
Okay,
so there would be no other asks.
Okay.
And even that 12.5 would, hopefully the organizing committee, local organizing committee that put it together would go out and get some sponsorship, so that number would be offset somewhat.
And that sponsorship mostly, if it's at a scale of an FCM, that'd be a lot of national sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly. And even the provincial government may come in with Service Nova Scotia or something to sponsor one of the smaller events.
Councillor Dawes?
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Your Worship. Under wages and salary, could you break that down? Not per person, but just break it down generally for us? How you get $148,701.
So these numbers come out of a calculator that is used through the Conference Board of Canada, and we're a member of the Canadian Sport Tourism Association, who is a licensee of this software. And as part of our benefits of doing that, we get access to do these estimates. So I've put in the numbers of how many people are coming, the initial expenditures that we expect to have happen, and this is the information it gives me back. This is an estimated number. It's not set in stone. Like, things will change at the end based on the actual expenditures of people. But it's just...
Okay, so we're expecting how many people? Do we have 150 of expected attendance?
Yep.
Yet we're still expecting a number of these people to bring their spouses.
Yeah.
So
And
that would then increase or inflate that 150 to what number, roughly?
I would say there may be 20 more people that would come on top of that.
So it's 170, that's less than 200 people,
Yeah.
which...
I'm being pretty conservative in the numbers. I'm not going over and above on what I put into that system.
Okay, all right.
It's the same system that we've used for when we did evaluate the Redwood Cup and whatnot as well.
Can you see it up there, Esther?
And did the, hi Esther, and did the numbers that you put in for the cup, were they the same as the actual net numbers?
They were lower only because we had less people come to that event.
By roughly what percentage? And I don't want to hold everyone up for effort. I just have a
The
lot of
percentage I
let's
couldn't
questions.
tell you offhand. There was a fair bit of difference in numbers of what we actually got versus what we expected to come. But I can get you that number for sure.
Large, small. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll get you that number later this afternoon for sure.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Yeah, Rick, the other thing is, maybe to Jeff, if we do approve this, and we never approve anything the day of a presentation, but this will be coming out of 2 years down the road. So when do you actually need the money? So we make conditional improvement of the 12,500. That's going to be coming down in 2016. What do you need money up front for? Or do you need money up front?
That is $2,014.
This is due for 2016, so there's no money this year. That's for sure.
It's in 2016.
But there will be money needed. We need a commitment now so that we can go and bid on this event. Like, we haven't bid on the event yet. We don't have it yet. We need a commitment from council that says, okay, we want to go for this event, and if we do get the event, we're prepared to spend this amount of money.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But these are $2,014 that
Yeah.
you're asking for.
Yep.
And they could inflate to, because we still have 2 years down the road.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's the issue that I'm having.
For sure. Okay. They are estimated budget numbers, and I did overinflate those numbers because it was a ways away. So we did go a little high on the
So the
numbers.
12.5 is actually overinflated, is that what you're
Yeah.
telling me?
Oh,
So
yeah.
really, in 2014 dollars, this is equivalent to what?
I'm hoping for what that would be.
10,000?
Hopefully, in today's dollars, yeah, around there.
Okay.
It is a budget, so.
Good. Okay, so who had their lights on next? Councilor Langell, you're on.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and Rick. Rick, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the original submission, which had a little bit more meat and potatoes to it. And as I said then when this came up at the last meeting, I have issue with this event. I think it's great, 150 people maximum. I mean, the reality, not all of them are going to show. I can't I'm going to be very blunt and to the point. I've been around this table for I don't know how many years now, but one thing I've learned about politicians is that they're cheap. Really, I mean, to be perfectly honest, in many cases we are. We go and we're looked after. We don't go out and buy a lot of souvenirs, and we don't expend a lot of money in the area. Usually we're fed and watered where we go. We usually get nice little gift packs of goodies, and we come home. So I'm looking at these economic spin-offs. all of these councillors and mayors and whatever are coming in are being paid by their municipal unit expenses. They get their expenses, I'm assuming, paid for by somebody, so that's not a drain on us. But I'm looking at the agenda, and then I'm looking at the budget. And I mean, when you look at the actual program that we're offering them, I mean, there's a welcoming reception, so they're looked after there. Then they're going to be registering. They're going to get a boxed lunch, so there's no meal buying out there. Then there's meetings. Then they're going to be toured around, which we're paying for. Then there is a breakfast networking with her worship, but that's looked after. Then there's meetings, and then there's a formal dinner, and that's sponsored already. And then there's a maritime breakfast. So they're not going to be in any restaurants that I can see, and that's happening. And they're going to be pretty well at Rod's, and we're looking after a lot of the actual expenses. And I'm looking at your budget. Formal dinners paid for, entertainment, food and beverage, the buses are all rented. So what I'm confused is I'm looking at this impact number of $278,725 for a conference that's coming here, or a meeting for 3 days, that pretty well everything's being paid for. And now and we're looking at $12,500 as our contribution with municipality and with Argyle, which is fine. So I'm looking at this group. Then I'm looking at the Garden Club, who's hosting their event next June, with 250 people coming in that are going to be in the area, and they're not going to be all paid for wining and dining. They're looking after it by themselves, and they're not asking for $37,500. So my question to you is, and I feel it sounds like Councillor McKay's, with all due respect at time, could you explain to me, if you've got a conference coming in that everybody's on expense claims, the only thing they really are going to pay for is their hotel rooms, we're paying the buses, we're paying the food, we're paying the venue, how does that generate what I'm reading here, if I'm reading it right, all of this total impact of $278,725? I'm just trying to figure out, and that's just for total of Nova Scotia. Yarmouth is $186,060, and the rest is $92,000. So where does this $978.25 come from? I know it's a spreadsheet of some kind, but could you help me out with this? That's where I'm having confusion.
So it is a calculator. It's not a 100% perfect system to use. It's, again, like I said, it's a system through the Canadian Sport Tourism Association that goes through an economic impact assessment. It's an estimate. It's not 100% proven, or it's a proven method, but it's not 100% accurate. It's going to be, the only sure way of knowing is you do the event and then you do a full economic impact assessment of the event through these guys, whether they collect all the information. That's been done for other events and even for here. So the only number that I can manipulate somewhat is that initial expenditure line.
Okay.
So, and even that is, I input how many people are coming. They make estimates on how much they're spending.
So a lot of yes, that was my question, because if I input 150 people for the Garden Club, hypothetically, I would probably get the same set of numbers in many cases.
If you
I
had,
get the same set of numbers, but the reality is the Garden Club is literally paying all their own shot.
Yeah, and if you had, and it would change based on how much the actual organization was spending too.
Yeah.
So the organization is actually paying for their meals and whatnot through their registration costs.
But we're paying, according to the budget I'm looking at here, we're paying a significant chunk of change for some of that too. Are we not?
And there's other portions where FCM is paying for their meals and whatnot as well. And that's not in this budget because that's not part of the ask to the councils.
Yeah, yeah. See, I really, I think it's a great idea, but I can think of events. I'm thinking of Music Week, which is a major event, which I'd be 100%. I would much rather give half of this amount to the Garden Club to bring their event in, because I can see more economic spin-off. For sure. But being as a politician who's been to several of these, I mean, I went to FCM in Halifax. It's the only one I went to because I just didn't spend any money.
Okay.
There was no impact to the area. I mean, I sponged off of everything along the way. I'll be perfectly honest. I went to every reception, every free dinner I could find, every bar I could find, and lived at that. I mean, and that's how I operated. And I think most of the councilors here were the same boat that year, or when I last went. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We're frugal. We're being frugal people. But
But
I'm just thinking of the other thing is, and if I can just one further point, we got politicians. Now, those politicians want to sell their own community. They want to bring their own people in. Again, I'm going to use the Garden Club as an example. We got 250 gardeners coming in here next year, thanks to the Yarmouth Garden Club arranging their provincial conference. So they're coming in. They will see Yarmouth and they will talk about Yarmouth. Whereas the mayor of Dundee, Ontario, his big interest is to get people into Dundee, Ontario. The mayor of Hamilton, Ontario wants people to go to Hamilton. I cannot see the mayor of Hamilton, Ontario going back to his council saying, wow, Yarmouth, Nova Scotia is the best place to visit in the world. I've never heard Mayor Mood come back to a meeting, come here and say, gee, I was in Montreal last week. Guys, you all got to go to Montreal. Because politically, she'd be dead meat in the water. No, that ain't happening. So, I mean, from a PR point of view, you know, and this is what I'm wrestling with this thing. I can't support it. I really can't, because I cannot see the benefit for this community. And I'll add with one thing. I did mention at the spring conference, which I do like the spring workshop, I did speak with 2 FCM board members. And I asked them a simple question. Is there any economic benefit to a community to have an FCM Board of Directors meeting? Both said no. Absolutely none that they can see. And these are from FCM board members. I wouldn't mention their name, but one's going out and the other one's still going to be there. So that was just my point. And then I asked them, I said, well, why don't you bid for it? And they said, are you crazy? There's no benefit to us. And that was their comment. So anyway, that's just...
Good. Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just as a point of courtesy to our presenters, and also courtesy to all our schedules for today. We all want to get home before midnight tonight.
Not going home, going to Truro.
Come on. Everyone knows, it's been made clear, we're not going to make a decision on this today, but could we just let the presenters finish your presentation?
Sure.
That's what we asked you to come here for. We do have a couple of questions, mind you. I think a couple have already been posed, but I would be interested to, and it's only just a couple of pages left.
Yeah.
And if we can ask some quick questions afterwards, and then we'll discuss it amongst ourselves. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So you'll see the rest of the economic impact data that you've had for a while now anyway, so unless you have any questions, I can come back to that later. Return on investment for what we would see from here is about 1,300%. So other benefits, but looking at about 500 hotel room nights. Media reach it's national. It's a national level conference, so you'd see some national size media coming. Board members will hopefully go home and talk about us a little bit, whether it's one Facebook message while they're here or one tweet while they're here. That's all valuable. And then there's recognition on national level of hosting Canada's municipal leaders. I do believe that there would be some recognition from those municipal leaders that come to here that when they do get home, it may be small, it may not be a lot, but that one tweet from the mayor of Vancouver to how many ever followers he has is valuable. That's all I have on that one.
Okay.
If you have any questions on this one, I'll go.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Great presentation.
Thank you.
It's better than the other one that we had, the information, and
For sure.
that was kind of scary. But my question is for a fellow councillor that used to sit around this table. You're now the manager, the new manager, Neil McKenzie. Congratulations, by the way. Have you had a chance to look this over, the presentation that Mr. Wright has just given?
I did. Rick's, as you know, Rick's job is group sales coordinator for Yarmouth and Canadian Shores. I always seem to have a difficult time telling people that, and I always draw a blank when I think of Rick's position. But Rick's job is to bring events to the region, okay? And, you know, not to offend anybody, but if they're living and breathing and they want to come to our community, then we want people to come to our community. I think Councillor Langell spoke on it pretty adamantly when he talked about not having all our eggs in one basket. Now, the eastern seaboard of the United States is a very large basket, and I know he realizes that, but his points are well taken. In that events have to come from anywhere. We have to think out of the box. I don't like to use that term as much as I can, but politicians are people. They do have expense accounts. They are going to sleep and pay money to our hoteliers and our fixed roof accommodation sector. They are going to explore the town. Their spouses probably aren't going to bore themselves with sitting in those meetings that the FCM executives are going to spend time doing. They may or they may not, and it's our job, once we have this host committee in place, if you, in your wisdom, approve this, would be to ensure that those people that we can pull away from that event are exposed to our experiences and our activities. So our Yarmouth Lighthouse, all our tourism activities and our events that we can give them here, right? I have looked at this. This is a pretty established model, the Sport Tourism Economic Assessment model. We are going to be presenting in a minute about Music Week, and Councillor Langell again mentioned that. There was an assessment done through that model after the event, so it took into account the economic impact of that event for 2010 on Yarmouth County and the province as well. So it's a pretty established model for any kind of convention or events, and as Rick said, we don't have the option to really manipulate the data that much. It would be interesting, as Councillor Langell was saying, to put in the Garden Club event and see what numbers it did pump out, because it would be nice to see what economic impact there was actually for that event. But I have full faith that an event like this would actually, in the end, give a positive net impact to the community. It would also put us on the world stage as the federal stage a little bit. There is value to having high-profile politicians, such as the mayor of Vancouver, the deputy mayor of Quebec City, etc., visit our community, just as much as there's value in having our own Nova Scotia local politicians visit our community. So I don't know if that throws a lot at you, but I have looked at it and have faith that it's a good forecast of what we can expect.
It does, but I have probably one or two more questions for you also. 12,500. You used to be in the advertised business. You still are. What would that buy you for advertising? 12,500. How many pages in a national paper or whatever?
I was talking to an operator today who operates the Maine Today website and magazine, and for a two-page spread in that magazine, I was looking at $15,000 in cost to distribute to their market, and so if you're just talking hard advertising, you'd probably be looking at that. If you were talking online advertising, then you're talking about cost per thousands of impressions, and you'd probably be, if you were talking about like Boston.com or something, you'd be looking at around the same amount or more, $20,000 maybe for a month of advertising on their website. Nova Scotia, I'm thinking U.S. numbers because that's where my head's been as of late, but Nova Scotia numbers, what's a full-size page ad in the Chronicle Herald? Some of you probably know. It's not cheap, even, right? So,
yeah. So anyway, so I guess to sum it all up, and you've had experience of sitting around this table as a past councillor. I don't think you would have much of a problem for 12.5 and bringing the amount of people that is said to be brought here, and anybody we do bring in, it's worth the effort to showcase and showboat our beautiful town of Yarmouth and Yarmouth County and Argyll also. So you'd have no problem supporting this, I would take it.
Well, it is interesting being on this side of the table. The fan on this projector is really hot, so I'm melting.
Yeah.
It's much scarier than I thought it would be. And ultimately, councillors, you have to make that decision based on the taxpayers. And we came here talking about that, and we fully accepted it. And we said we'll put it to them the best we can, and to describe to them and answer all their questions as best as we can. And then it's up to them to decide if they're gonna do that. You guys have to endeavor for the taxpayers. I understand that fully.
I understand that, and I sometimes am a little leery on spending money, as you know, but this doesn't seem like a bad thing. Now, that's just my take on it, from listening to the presentation, listening to what you have to say, and reading it and looking at it. We're not going to make any commitments financially right here, not right today, I don't think, but then again, you are running a timeline, aren't you?
Well, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but we don't need the money.
Money.
We just need a commitment
Just a
that
commitment.
if we are successful in the bid, that the Town of Yarmouth would come on board, and that would either, I'll leave that up to you to determine what fiscal that would come out of.
Would it
but
be
in
on the
my
condition,
opinion-
would it be on the condition the other two other municipal units chip in also? Is that?
That would be up to you to decide, but
Yeah, okay.
the municipality of Yarmouth has, we've presented it to them, Rick did, and they have agreed to it. We haven't presented it to Argyle yet.
Okay.
And we haven't gotten to the stage of forming a host committee to look at sponsorship either, to help facilitate reducing the cost as well. But again, that would be up to you, that would be up to you, your councillors and finance department to determine what fiscal this would come out of and what impact that would be. It is nice that it's a little far in the future, so you
Yep.
can plan for it.
That's
but-
right. Okay, great, thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
Sure.
Councillor Landrieu?
Thank you. Put you in an awkward position, Neil, to ask you if you support it or not, because naturally you're going to support your employee. That was a...
No, I'm not supporting this, Rick.
Even so, it would look pretty bad if he said no. Yeah, or a maybe or that. Again, I really think we're being asked to make a decision here on something that has flawed data. And I don't mind making a financial decision. If what Councillor McIsaac is saying is true, that this is a real good thing, and that we're going to be getting $278,000 in economic spin-offs, and that's something that you'll guarantee, I'm all for it. But on the other hand, I'd hate like heck to see us put this money, $12,500, I can't get $2,000 for a town cleanup, yet we're going to give $12,500 to feed some politicians. That's the way I look at it. I mean, to me, money's money. I'm kind of playing Danny's role now because he's usually really tight with money, but I'm looking at this. So what I'm saying is that before I can vote, this data is bothering me, because it bothered me from the get-go, because it's skewed. It's not, I know it's whatever data you're using, but surely out there must be a data base within Tourism Nova Scotia or somebody that will gauge a convention like this where not everything's looked at, because this is a different animal than your typical conference. I run a conference every year in Fall River, Nova Scotia. I have 600 people coming in. My total conference costs $29,000 is what it runs. I mean, it's not a big conference to run, but I got 600 people, a good volunteer team, excellent group coming in. But I do know the economic spin-off for Halifax is probably close to $250,000 because they stay for 2 nights, blah, blah, blah. And that works. There's that benefit. But here in this particular case, we don't provide a lot of benefits. And similarly, like UNSM's the same thing. Like UNSM, at most of our conferences we go to, the meals aren't, there's like 1 or 2 meals provided. But it's all sponsored. Whereas with this event, the same thing is happening. Meals are being looked after, social functions are being looked after, bus tours are being looked after. So I'm just questioning the data, and I'm not saying I'm against this, but based on the data, I think you are giving us inaccurate data. That data isn't working. But on the other hand, if you're willing to say, I'm going to stand by this data, you're going to get $278,000 for 150 people coming to my community, I'm in there.
So we'll obviously discuss it more. I'm not having a problem with it, because for me, I don't care if something's sponsored or given or paid for or whatever, it has to come from somewhere. Some business locally has to put the meals together, has to put them in the beds, has to purchase, get the stuff for the baskets, all that stuff. So for me, and I will say this, that the media coverage, and I think if we get our heads together, we can really do something with it. Like up the ante, don't just let it happen. And the media coverage for me far surpasses what you're asking. So that's my thought. So we're good. Okay, do we need to do anything right now?
When do you need to submit your bid, Rick?
We had to submit this bid by June 9th, I'm going to say. it
Oh,
is.
that's that's natal day.
It was like the exact same
That's the
time.
next council meeting? Okay.
June 9th was when we had to mail a bid in plus send an electronic copy. So even the week before that. I don't know how many people are bidding on it actually. Yeah.
Okay, so what way do you want to go? Well, we don't usually make the financial decision right now. Do you want to think about it and have another meeting, or Councillor Langell, go ahead.
Well,
We
I'm
can-
still didn't get an answer about the data, and I hate to ask this, but
Yeah, we can go
I'm-
further if you want.
Can we get? Is there just one conference calculator in the entire world that we use called the conference board, or is there other calculator? I didn't have a chance to do a Google. Surely to God, in this world, there must be a calculator with different variables that you can put into it. If not, I'm going to let my son know to develop an app, because there's a gold mine in that one.
This is what the province of Nova Scotia uses to evaluate events.
But does this calculator have variables like the kind that we're saying, or is this you just scoop in some?
The information I put in is how many people are coming,
Okay, can I go one
what
step?
the costs are. I can send you the
No,
information.
no.
What
Can you do this?
enter.
Can you contact, or can your office contact the city of Saguenay, who hosted the last one,
Yeah.
and ask them how they did their calculation?
Yeah, I don't even know if they even did a economic impact.
Yeah, that's
statement.
what I mean. I'm just curious, because the data. If I can get because I don't want to vote on this. I don't think council should vote on this until we actually see clear data.
Yeah.
Because this is like a pig in a poke. And I'm thinking, surely to God, in the world today, there's a calculator out there that'll calculate this with the variables that you need to put in. And if you don't, let me know, and don't give it to Mackenzie to develop an app. I want that. It's good.
Okay, good. Councillor Dawes, go ahead.
Thank you. Your worship, this is going to be very, very short. Rudimentarily speaking, 150 people plus media observers, staff, 100 and, I'm sorry, plus
Plus one.
spouses. To bring it up to 170 people that you expect at $12,500, $2,015, $16. Each of those people has to leave just over $73 and a few pennies here in order for us to recoup our $12,500 investment. That's basically it. These numbers here, no, they don't tickle my fancy either. I think everyone here knows how I feel about numbers. No, I don't buy this either. But if you break it down into black and white, you want $12,500 from us in 2 years or in a year and a half from us, then we are going to host 170 people. Then as long as they leave at least $73 and let's say 87 cents here per person, I'm all right with that.
Deputy Mayor?
In spite of the conversation around the table, I want to make a motion based on the presentation that we support Rick Allwright in his request for what he's asking us to do. $12,500 is obviously money. We're talking 2016 budget. It's an opportunity to bring people to our town.
So before anybody seconds this, if your motion goes through, Councillor Langell's still wanting more information, but there's still council, right? There's still the council meeting where we can,
He talked about a deadline of June the
June the 9th. So we
9th.
might have to have,
And so that's, you know, I understand what everyone is saying or attempting to say, and I just think we can't pass up the opportunity. So I'm prepared, I'm not sure if the motion is proper, but I would like to get the show on the road, Your Worship.
okay, Councillor McIsaac?
Well, you know, usually it's been our practice, and I think it's a good practice, that we don't make decisions like this. Let's not change the way that we do business around this table. It could be dangerous, setting a dangerous precedent. I think that we do need more information. $12,500 is $12,500. I think it would be more prudent to us and to our taxpayers if we get a little bit more information, and there's nothing stopping us from having another meeting, you know, before their due date. Let's not make haste to this and do this without getting the proper information. We don't normally do this, And let's not change our practice of doing these money issue things. So I can't support the motion. I support the project,
Okay,
but I will not support going without having more information. It's not the right thing to do.
thank you.
Thank you.
CAO?
Okay, I'm going to make a suggestion on procedure because we don't have a regular council meeting scheduled before Rick's deadline. One option would be to make the motion and to approve the motion to recommend to council to support the bid, and don't mention the dollar figure. Support the bid. When it comes up at council next month, you can table it. You can defer it until you receive further information. In fact, the bid may not be successful.
But we
Right.
can't, oh, sorry, go
So
ahead.
he has to submit a bid proposal.
I need a resolution from council saying they support
A
us
resolution
bidding.
from council.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Well, that's a little.
It doesn't have to have a money figure attached to it, but there has to be a resolution saying we want to bid on this event.
The amount you've asked for in this request is based on your budget and your proposal for what you would do, or
Yeah.
what you would propose to do.
Yeah.
But there's no committee formed yet that's approved
No.
that plan.
No.
So, the 12.5 could be 7.5
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one if you need that resolution, but I don't know that I'd put a dollar figure on it, for sure. At this point, it may not happen. And I agree with Dan is that we have that practice in place of not making decisions on the day of a presentation for a reason. So this is very last minute and unfortunate. You might want to, I don't know how you want to deal with it. I was hoping a motion from committee of the whole supporting, and then we could refine that with more information in time. But if that's not possible, then that idea's out the window.
Yeah, you want to follow up?
Just
and then
one
Phil?
quick follow-up. Could we not, at this point, we're at a committee of the whole here, make a recommendation to the next council meeting, then set a date for the earliest time for a council meeting, maybe next week if everybody's around or whatever? When is the earliest or the soonest we could have a council meeting?
Can have one whenever we want.
Well, what's on everybody's calendar? Can we look at a date that we can set it right here, right now? And, I mean, we can do this. We don't want to let it pass up, but we want to get some information, more information that we need.
Okay. What about the 4th? What's the 4th? What day
It's
is
a
that?
day before the 5th town hall
The
meeting.
day after the 3rd?
Yes.
Phil,
So anyway, Your Worship, if we have a date set, whoever brings a motion forward, whatever, we can do that. Is that what I'm hearing?
it hasn't been seconded, though.
It hasn't been
so
seconded, so
We can still, okay, so the 4th is good for me.
good for me.
It's good for you, Ken? I don't know.
Earlier the better, like in the morning, so we can have a life, if it's possible.
Doesn't matter if it's 6 o'clock in the morning or midnight, I don't have a life.
Okay,
So it's all
okay,
good.
okay. Early in the morning is great, just early. We'll say 9 o'clock so we can get it. It's only a 5-minute thing, nothing else on the agenda, just to deal with this, right?
We have solid waste that morning,
What time?
What time?
home sport. Solid waste at 9 and our home sports at 11.
Okay. 8:30.
We can meet at 8.
8:30, do you do 8:30?
Yeah, ain't gonna take long.
8:30 on the 4th.
8:30 on the 4th, you got it. Okay, thank you, Your Worship.
Ken, you good with that? Okay, Bill, you are.
I apologize for, although I haven't spoken a lot today, by the way. I tried to
Yeah,
keep
well,
my,
keep
but
that.
I'm
You're
keeping it to
doing
a
good.
point.
Keep it up.
I really feel bad that I'm the odd man out. I think the majority in this room is probably comfortable with it. So, with words going, I'm just the odd man for the data, and I don't even know if Rick can get the data. So that's the issue. So I mean, yeah. Just the reality. But I mean, as Councillor Dawes says, people pay $73.50. I mean, that's our $73.50 we're giving out. Just cut a check out for everybody for $73.50. But the reality is I feel better since we have made some unwise decisions in the past. But I don't want to see this thing dragged out and left aside. I'd be happy if you want to call a council meeting at the end of this meeting, and say yes, because I think that's where it's going to go when reading the table, then do it at the end of this meeting, then Rick can go ahead and do the proposal.
I'll just speak from my standpoint. I don't think it's a matter of where it's going to go. I think sometimes that sober second thought, you know, we're all excited. So I think the opportunity to give us a couple days, think about it, and we're good to go. And get her done on the 4th. Okay, Rick? Bring it.
All right, Nova Scotia Music Week.
Yes.
They are looking for bids for 2015, 16, and 17. Nova Scotia Music is the rights holder for this event, and they just, I think it was the 12th, May 12th, they released their RFPs for these years. As you're well aware, we have hosted this event in 2009, 10, and 11, and done it very successfully. I will say that Scott Long from Nova Scotia Music has indicated that 2015 would be the preferred year that he would like to come. Nova Scotia Music Week is an annual celebration of music in Nova Scotia. Musicians, music fans, high-profile music industry professionals, and media all attend this event. It is a professional development and music showcasing event. It's some of the components of this event, the Showcasing Festival, opening reception, a songwriter circle, the Mind Over Music Conference. So this is actual, they do business. There's not just, let's just go around, let's go out to Yarmouth, play music. There's actual stuff happening. Late night suite, the Music and Industry Awards brunch, the Nova Scotia Music Week Super Show, which is a new format that they are unveiling in Truro of this year, where they're bringing in a national or international headlining act plus Nova Scotia supporting acts. And in past years, it's been that show, that arena show was the awards show. So they've changed up their format a little bit. And then there's a closing reception. As part of this event, they're looking for a host community vision. And I just kind of came up with this one. To create a musical extravaganza that pushes the boundaries and thinks outside of the box, an event where all stakeholders will experience the best of Nova Scotia music, culture, and people. A meaningful dialogue will be encouraged and fostered between musicians, buyers, and other industry stakeholders. Like any other event, there is an investment involved in putting this together. Compared to prior events, the cash component has gone up. In the past 3 years that we've hosted, the cash component was $10,000. These coming 3 years, they're looking for $20,000 in cash and $20,000 of in-kind. That in-kind amount hasn't changed. I put some suggested in-kind contributions, but that's really not, the only issue there would be the town of Yarmouth just putting a little bit of money towards the Mariner Center costs. The rest would come from the business community and the local host community. Back to the numbers of an economic impact assessment. So in 2010, when we held this event, Events Nova Scotia did a full economic impact assessment of the event. They collected the data from each individual person, well, 73 individual people, and then extrapolated that information to come up with these numbers through the Canadian Sport Tourism Association. So an initial expenditure of $539,000, supported wages of over $469,000, supported 18.6 full-time equivalent jobs with a GDP of $660,000 and total industry output after working its way through the entire economic system of $1.3 million. So that's actual numbers of what's happened. Additional benefits from this event, 1,000+ room nights, easy. Community pride, when we hosted this event before, the community pride was through the roof. Media value, and add another event to our hosting resume.
Yes.
So our ask from council here, and we're only coming to town council, because we are under extremely tight deadlines for this, is that the council support the bid to host Nova Scotia Music Week for the years of 2015, 16, 17, and commit to funding this event for a licensing fee of $20,000 and towards $2,000 towards the cost of the Mariner Center for the arena show. Yeah, so we're going to bid on all three. Nova Scotia Music has suggested that they would definitely come here for 15 if we put in a bid. We may get one, we may get all three, we could get none if we're, but we would expect at least one of them we would get. Yeah,
Good?
that's all I got to say for now.
Councillor
Answer
Lamb?
questions, what?
Listening to the presentation, I mean, we went through, this is definitely a plus plus. Now, these numbers I can live with. They're realistic, okay? There's some data there that you can crunch. And being somewhat a little bit involved with Music Week, the ones that we had here were very, very positive events. And the numbers do work quite well. I mean, here's an event, there's not a lot of freebies. There's an event that people will do spend a fair amount of time. What is your deadline for this, though? It seems to me that's a little sooner than the FCM, is it not?
It's actually the exact same deadline. We have to put it in for September or June 9th.
And the 20,000 plus the 2, that's for each year, correct?
That would be for each year, yeah.
Now, what about the Municipality District of Yarmouth and Municipality District of Argyle? Are
Just
they
because-
being approached, or?
Just because under the timeline what we're under, because we only SCM we did have a few months. This one is less than a month to get the bid in. So we're coming to council first because this is where it's going to be hosted, and then we'll allow the local host committee to go to the other municipalities and try and recoup some of that, so you're not paying out that full amount.
The other point that I'm interested in, the earlier proposals that were made by the previous Music Week
Yep.
committee, have you been in contact with them at all to look at their proposals, or have you seen their
Yeah,
proposals?
we've seen their proposals. We're going to be engaging with Kim and whatnot to come on, help us with the.
So you're going to be
on the
working
locals.
with that same team that was in
It
place?
won't be the same, necessarily all the same team
No, no,
members,
but-
George Dion has agreed to come on board. Jeff Claremont has agreed to be
There's
the
some
chair.
good people there. There's some good people
Yeah.
there that have done a fair amount, so that's
Yeah.
good. That's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is one event that I'm 100% supportive of. I get no problem. I mean, this does have the bang for the buck.
Yeah.
So it's well worth. I'm surprised we're getting off that cheap. When I look at $20,000 for how many people total you anticipate coming in? 500.
In 2010, they had 734 registered delegates.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So I mean, this
Yeah.
place was filled.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So 20,000 for this one, and the last one we're going to barely fill the Grand Hotel.
They're probably actually underestimating their value of their event.
Who?
Nova Scotia Music.
Oh, totally,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, we saw the bang for the buck when Phil was mayor. Holy mackerel, this town was hopping. And Music Week, they loved Yarmouth
Oh,
because
yes.
we're so close that everything is walkable.
Yeah.
And it was well done. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you have George because he did a good job on the shuttles and that. So thanks, Rick.
Any more lights? Next?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, there's the lights.
Yeah.
Councillor McIsaac?
Your worship, can we handle this at the next council meeting on the 4th?
Absolutely.
The same way, we have the information, we have the data. There's no questions. I think we've all went through this before. It's just the principal thing that we don't like to make money commitments at the same time you give a presentation. Former councillor Mackenzie knows the situation. It's not a good practice to do that, but I think everybody around the table is pretty much in agreement. Not speaking for everybody, but myself, it's a good presentation, and we know that this worked the last few times that we've had it here. But to give you a commitment now, say we're going to finance it, it'd be better if we did it on the 4th. That way we can keep in with our not making money commitments right off from the fly.
Absolutely.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
Good. Councillor Langell?
Just another quick one while Neil is here. The Garden Club, they haven't been in contact with you at all, I trust, on their whole project for next year?
Their event? Or?
Yes.
No, they haven't been. And I would.
Is
I
this
would-
something that they could work with you on, or because I know they're going to be looking for funding?
Absolutely.
So, and they're a little uncertain. I mean, they're prepared to go and raise the money all diligently themselves, but I took the liberty of suggesting that they should come to council and they also should be approaching you guys. So, but I didn't know whether you guys will handle it. I know that certain things that you do or don't, so I didn't know how that fits in.
We'd very much appreciate them coming to work with us. We'd be more than happy to help them.
Good. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Bring them on in. They can take the ferry. All right. Yeah. Business. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes to get through 50. Oh, did you have your light on? I can't. They have to wave. Danny usually waves to me. Were you good? He's excited. 55 Grove Road order. Whose is that? CAO.
Okay, so we issued a dangerous and unsightly order on 55 Grove Road, and so as part of that order, which council approved, demolition is a likely result, and so this would be the opportunity for the owners to step forward, appeal the order if they wish to do so, and not seeing them present, I guess we'll proceed with the order as is.
Okay. What do we have to do with this? We're good? Doors open program. Do we need? We don't have.
I didn't catch you. Did you make a motion?
No, we don't have to do anything with it. Doors open program. Whose is this? This you?
Great idea. And if I
Councillor?
could speak to that, thank you, Your Worship. I think this is a marvelous idea. I grew up with this. Doors Open program sounds great, a lot better than literally translated Day of Open Door. It's usually in the fall, and if we could, I don't know, you want a motion to direct council to work with the Chamber of Commerce to organize that and to try to include all of the businesses all in town, to open their doors all on the same day, make it a very warm opening welcome to everyone?
I don't know if you can tell a business to.
No, to suggest
Okay. Okay.
for the Chamber of Commerce to approach the businesses and to suggest to do that. It's very similar to the Bring Your Kid to Work Day that was introduced years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. You need a motion? I'll make it. I know we're
If you
running out
want
of
to make a
time.
motion, it's up.
Is that what you wanted?
Oh, I don't want anything. I just read it for information for now. But if you want to make a motion, if you want that to happen, then you can make.
I
a
would
motion.
like to. I would like to. Yeah.
So the motion is.
Well, someone has to help me out with this.
just
To
writing.
direct staff or to ask staff to contact and work with the Chamber of Commerce to organize this,
Okay.
or to work with the
Okay,
Chamber of
you-
Commerce?
Can we? What do you
Yes.
think?
I would hate to see us assign staff to work with any group, I mean, to organize an event. I mean, to me, the matter should be either referred to the Chamber of Commerce for their consideration. That would be the proper motion,
okay.
I think.
All right,
I
that's
just
fine.
sent that this request be referred to the Chamber of Commerce with indication that we would support.
All
you
right,
know.
fine, then I will change my motion to that. The reason that I thought to include Town Hall was that the Town Hall would also have an open door that day. Like all of us, the entire town. That would get people, families into town to check out businesses, even maybe some industry. Mayor's office, yes. Everyone can come sit in your mayor's chair and take a
Usually
picture with the
everybody's been in
children,
there
whatever.
anyway.
I think it's just,
Okay, so, yep, you certainly can.
I had a little bit of experience just hearing about this program a few years ago at FCM in Toronto. Toronto was doing this, and the way they used it, and I'm not sure about Halifax, the way they used it is they identified specific venues of interest to the community. So in Toronto, on a given day, on a Saturday, they may open like 5 different buildings that people don't normally have access to sort of see what's going on in there. And so it isn't a case that you would want to bombard with maybe 100 places, but limit it to 4 or 5 that may be of, I'm just thinking about, if Zion Church were still there and in its prior form, maybe opening that building up because of the architecture. There might be other buildings, and I'll just use one as an example, our public works shed or our fire hall, buildings that the general public doesn't normally get to go inside, and our firemen or our public works supervisor could do a tour, sort of show what we do within those buildings that the public just normally walk by and don't think about a whole lot. So in that way, if it were our buildings, then obviously it's for us to do. But if it is other people's buildings, like, sorry about that, like a church or whatnot, then it would be partnering on the marketing of the event and participating to some degree ourselves.
Okay, Councillor Langell?
And I know we're time consuming, and CIO is quite right. Some communities do it that way, and Councillor Dawes has suggested some communities do it the other way. Halifax, for example, I think just had a open house on Spring Garden Road, where a lot of people went in and they experienced cheap food, literally freebies, where people are handing out stuff, similar to what we do here with our seafood, whatever. So either way, to me, let's just road it to chamber. Let's see what the chamber says, and and give them the options. And if they want to do an open house for us, like I think it'd be great idea opening up like the water treatment plant. I would love to see us open up the various parts of our empire as well. It would be the who? You can't get very far in there. Privacy issues there, unfortunately. If we had it empty, we could, but we'll never have it empty. Thank you.
Good. Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, everyone. That's exactly what I had in mind. So whatever works, wherever you need to send it to, just get her done.
So your motion is to have staff send a letter to
The
Chamber
Chamber.
of Commerce
And let them know that the town will partner,
okay,
if that's the right term.
with a Doors Open program.
Yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Do I have a seconder? Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Communities in Bloom application. Councillor Langell.
Hopefully this will be short. We have a application. We have some couple of seats still available on Communities in Bloom from a very good citizen. Faye Allen submitted a request to sit on the committee. The Communities in Bloom committee discussed it, and they fully endorse her application. And I would like to move that Faye Allen be appointed to the Communities in Bloom committee.
Moved and seconded. I have one quick question, just only because somebody will ask this. When we go through the whole process of putting people on committees, is Communities in Bloom one? Yes. It is? So there weren't names of people that didn't get on? Okay, that's important. Yeah, good, okay. Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. This is going to be a short one, too. This is just to clear something up for me and for others that are watching or may watch. Traditionally, and as far as I understand, anyone that wants to be on a committee, they actually apply and they send in this little mini resume.
Okay.
And the last couple of additions, and I'm not picking on Communities in Bloom, I'm not picking on anyone in particular. I'm just looking at protocol. The last couple of people that did join the committee, there were no applications that were submitted. That's all I'm bringing up, and I know you're going to answer that.
Go ahead.
We, Communities in Bloom and Councillor Dennis and Councillor Mooney both sit on the committee. is a different sort of committee. It's a fun committee, but the people who are on that committee are individuals who prove themselves not in paper but by deeds. Faylene Allen personally cleaned up most of Argyle Street during our community's cleanup. She has excellent credentials. Now, I feel bad in many cases asking of volunteers who do a lot of work. Our communities in Bloom people actually physically work to go through the rigmarole of doing a detailed application, blah, 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 because most of our committees involve people coming and sitting around a table and making a decision, whereas communities in Bloom, it's a lot of other things are well. However, if council would like, I will be delighted to ask her to commit I don't even think we have a formal application for the town, but if we do, we'll crank one out to her and I'll withdraw the nomination. I got no problem on that.
Well, there's a motion on, yeah, okay, Councillor Mooney?
Yeah, and I know Faylene for 30 or 40 years. She's an excellent member of the community. I know she's a hard worker. And anybody that volunteers, well, you're the one who brought it up. I know. I'll call for the question.
Okay, Councillor Dawes, you had your light on, did you?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I did not bring that up to question this poor woman's character. I didn't. And there's no need for that for it to be interpreted that way. I was only asking protocol. That's all. That's all. Thank you. And it's been answered.
Yeah. Okay, question's been called. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. South Main Street decorative lighting. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation from the engineer that the light standards in Yarmouth South be the required height that he so recommends.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Patching paving tender results. CAO? Or is that, oh, sorry, no. I saw him reach for his finger. You go ahead, Councillor. Yeah, sorry about that.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the engineer for the asphalt paving tender as per the recommendation to be given to Aberdeen Paving.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Discussion? Councillor Dawes?
Real quick one, I promised. If the engineer could please explain type B and type C asphalt? Very quickly, very quickly.
It's just the mixture of the asphalt, basically, type B is a fine mix.
Fine mix. Type B is a fine mix. And type C?
Type C is a coarser mix.
Coarser. Thank you very much.
You have that question every year anyway.
Isn't it really? That is so cool. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't need. Okay.
5 years now.
Yeah. Got your answers off. Okay, any more discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Tree on Willow Street carving. Councillor Mooney?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Your Worship. And I thought we might have brought this under Communities in Bloom, but I noticed there's a...
I did? Oh, I had that checked off. Okay. Let's do, okay, Councillor Landro?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the engineer's recommendation that the tender be awarded to Lafarge for the 3/4 clear stone Enviro rock, the manufacturer is sand type 1, type 1S, type 2, and the 3/6 stone, and that Aberdeen Paving get the contract for the pit run and surge rock, provided that the materials meet the requirements and specifications as determined by the independent material testing lab.
What he said. Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. I hope we got that one right. Opposed? Carried. Okay, Willow Street tree there, Councillor
Worship,
Mooney.
just like we said, going on our walks, I noticed that there's a stump on town property on Willow Street, and as we all know, if you look in Frost Park, you can see a carving of Queen Victoria. I wonder if there's an opportunity to do something with that. I know our former building inspector, Bill Tebow, did the one in Frost Park, and maybe Councillor Langeau can enlighten us. I don't know if we need a motion. Huh? You want to carve you? It's too tall. Had to cut it down a foot. Or two.
It's a lavabo 4 feet.
I don't know if we need I'd like to make a motion to staff and investigate the possibility of a carving or statue on Willow Street. With the stump.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Lancho, your light's on.
Throw this out very quickly. It came up at our last meetings of the Communities in Bloom. Your way, Phil, at that one. We have a proposal coming before us with a group that is pretty well hot on birdhouses. And that tree is being targeted as an experimental tree for birdhouses. The intention is we're looking at, we have a lady who wants to coordinate a committee to literally put up well over 1,000 individual painted birdhouses in the town of Yarmouth.
Got a lot of them done already.
Yeah,
too.
she's been cranking them out. So Rodney received 30 yesterday, I believe, or the day before, or somebody received 30, or about to receive 30 of these things, and they're going to be looking at which ones and targeting that tree on Willow Street to see just to see how it works. They've talked to Mr. Tavares, who has the McKinnon Can Inn, and he's very supportive of it. Pardon? There's one on there already. Yeah, they're playing with it now. So it's an interesting project, but Communities in Bloom hasn't gone to the point of reviewing it because the lady is not speaking until June the 4th at our meeting that afternoon. It's going to be a good afternoon, and she's going to do it, and then we'll have a recommendation for council for the 11th meeting. But yeah, so we are looking at something for that tree.
Okay. So you're good on that one, Councillor? Yep. Oh, Councillor McIsaac?
Yeah,
go
I just
ahead.
have a quick question. Now, I drove by there today, and there's about 20 birdhouses on there already. So I guess what I have a concern with is they're using nails, or what are they using to nail, or what are they doing to put into this tree? And does that yeah, I realize that. It's there to what extent? Okay, but anyway, does it bother the stump or anything like that? Does it rot it quicker or whatever? I don't know. Did we get any information on that from our arborist on that?
I think
Does it do anything to the stump or anything? Does it quicken the drying out of it or whatever?
Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
I can't-
Just a question I'm asking.
Okay, yeah.
I realize that
Please
there's
answer it.
there's no limbs or no nothing on it, but what does it do?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know who put the birdhouses on the tree. I assume the tree's is a public tree. It's in town tree. Okay. So I guess the only reason I hit my light was I heard there were going to be 1,000 birdhouses installed, and I guess, and I heard they were being delivered to Rodney. And I guess if we're talking with the lady on the 4th, maybe an army of 65-year-old men with their cordless drills and a box of screws could be marshaled to help with that, because that's a great project for volunteers if we know where they're going to be put, and it sounds like a lot of work to do 1,000 of them.
Yeah, Rodney shouldn't be touched.
We're only looking, the only involvement we had, Rodney's on the Communities in Bloom as an experiment just to see how it works. You're right. The plan is her plan, I understand, is to do the birdhouse, and it's kind of neat. They're all recycled wood, and her big interest is to make a deal with the solid waste park that we can use the wood from the waste park. So we're diverting it from landfill, the painting very nicely, and then these houses will be available to individual residents that they can put on their properties, or merchants or whatever. And they think it'll be a real attraction because nobody in Nova Scotia is doing this sort of thing. So it's a little thing that we're working on. So no, this was just one-time experiment to draw the attention. So have a pill, and Jim will prescribe it afterwards.
I think her first thought was to do them on buildings downtown, and I said, oh man, all those birds, I can't walk downtown with all those. Okay, so we're good to go on that one. H, the buskers program, I sent out the email. It's not attached, but I sent out the email, and Greg Fevens had asked this, and there was a group that he got together with that basically wanted to have some buskers to liven up the downtown, and they had to go through a not-for-profit group or something in order to access funds, and they did that. The YARC said they would put their name on it. It's not a YARC program, but the YARC has agreed to send in the application as the nonprofit, and they are looking for, to cover the rest of the funds, because the rest was given out, $2,600, which will give 2 students, I think it was 35 hours a week, to do busking on Main Street. So that was, and I just put the motion together, but I said to give it to the ARC. I don't know if that's how it goes or not. Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's wonderful. If you, I'm sorry, you made the motion? You need someone to make the motion?
I can't make a motion.
I will make this motion. I support it 200%. In fact, I spoke with a number of people, including, pardon me, Mr. Newell last year after our seafood and wine extravaganza weekend. It's all fundraising. Mr. Newell offers his tent down on the waterfront. We were thinking of different ways to attract more families, more children down the waterfront, make that a real family weekend. And we thought of buskering, and I asked him about allowing us to confiscate half of his parking lot for it. Then when this email came from Mr. Phoevens, I called him up right away, and they have more plans than just the buskering. And I think it's a marvelous idea. I would support it 100%. And if someone would second the motion, I'd be very, very appreciative. Thank you.
Councillor McIsaac?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a bit of a problem with it. It's probably a great idea, but I don't know if I like the concept of how it was formulated. And by that I mean it's going through a nonprofit organization, from what I read, and it goes to that organization with them full well knowing that they're not going to participate in giving the $2,600. It's going to be farmed out to look for $2,600 for somebody else. So they're making the application for the funding when they fully well know that they're making it with not even putting any money into it. They're going to ask some other organizations or the taxpayers of Yarmouth to fund it, the $2,600. Now, if they knew that this was going to be happening 6 months ago or 3 months ago or 5 months ago, they should have went through the process of funding it going through the grants organizations, either from the town of Yarmouth or the municipality of Yarmouth. Greg lives in the municipality of Yarmouth. These two, 3, 4, half a dozen students, whoever they are, this is a make-work program for them, and that's great. But are we in the business of, in makeshift programs for summer students or whatever? Is that part of our mandate? I don't know, but is it also a legal thing that we're going through a grant process and we're sanctioning that, we're saying yes to that grant process when they put an application in fully well knowing that they wasn't going to follow through with their funding, their portion of the funding? What do you mean, what?
No, I don't understand who's not following through. What happened?
The ARC.
No.
I must have misread something.
It goes through the ARC because the application goes through the ARC, so a nonprofit organization.
Who gets the funding?
It would go to the ARC.
Okay.
But
Do they have to kick any money in?
Did the ARC have to?
Yeah.
I would say no.
But
The government is
okay.
putting money in, so the ARC as the entity.
It doesn't sound right to me.
Well,
I mean, it really doesn't sound right to me. I never applied for grants, so I really don't know, and I don't know if you really know either about how it works. And if you do, somebody's going to have to show me on paper how it works. It's okay. So I guess what they're saying is anybody can apply for a grant through a nonprofit organization and say they're going to do one thing and say they're going to be part of that funding for that grant, when in reality they're just saying it so they can get the money.
No,
It either is or it isn't.
well, it isn't.
Okay, where does it say it isn't?
A nonprofit organization has to apply for funds in order to get the buskers to come, to hire these 2 students to do busking. So the ARC is applying. The money will go to the ARC, and as I understand it, the ARC will then pay the students and everything else.
But
they're just asking for.
Does the ARC have to put up any money?
The ARC,
In their application, did the ARC have to say we will kick in $2,600 or any amount of money in order to levy that grant money?
no. So the grant money's coming, and then the other portion is the 26, which they are asking us for as a grant.
Where's the paperwork for this?
I don't have it.
Well, before I can vote on anything like that, I'd like to see some paperwork on that, so I know that we're doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. Some time ago, we had an organization that we worked with and under, and it was called Swasta, and this to me, when I read the little bit of information on it that we had, I wasn't very comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with it now. I'm not against having the two students. That's great. I think it's a great idea. But if we're going to do something, we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, not the wrong way. We've done a lot of things in the past, not so much the right way. So I'm just a little bit skeptical of saying yes to this when I don't know the full details of this. We just went through some of this afternoon. This is the 11th hour or the 12th hour where we're saying yes to a money thing when I don't have the right information, and I can't support this. I'm sorry, but I can't right now until I get the information.
And that's fine. So I'll ask Greg, but that's why I sent the note out. So anybody that had questions could ask him. We would have had the paperwork. Councillor Landrieu, go ahead.
Yeah, when I saw this, I kind of eyeballs raised a little bit as well. I can see where Councillor McIsaac's coming from. We have a private citizen, Greg Phoevens, who's gone out on his own to come up with the idea of buskers, which is a great idea, supportive of that. He's applied to, I'm assuming, ERDT for some student youth employment money. And my understanding from past, because I've been involved in this, Councillor McIsaac, I think, has got a point. The ARC has to indicate in the application they will fund the deficit of the money, because I think it's a shareable dollars is how the application's going. I think CIO, we've done these through the town. It's shareable dollars. So the ARC on its application to ERDT or wherever they were applying to would have to indicate on that application, yes, we are going to share up to this much money for this application. The application has been granted on the assumption that the ARC is going to put up this money. This is what I'm reading into all this correspondence. Meanwhile, the ARC has no intention of putting up its share of the money, which kind of makes me question the legitimacy of the application in the first place. So they're now coming to us for us to put up this money. And we've already done some grants. So that's problem one. Problem two, further down, which we'll never get to today, is Phil Demille, who's another private citizen who's done the Coal Shed Festival, who was planning to do a similar thing because he wanted to do other activities along town during Coal Shed. He's not even aware of this. And here you have another individual who brings in who works with all of the local music industry. There's 100 of them involved, different groups and individuals that he works with Coal Shed. So he's over here. Greg's over there. We have an application on shareable dollars, but the person who put the application in for the shareable dollars doesn't want to put the money up front, and they're coming to us. I think that's how I'm reading this, and I have a real problem with the process, because to me, Greg should have done it through his own organization. He should have created an organization, call it Buskers Yarmouth or Play on Yarmouth or whatever, and that would have been the way it should have been handled. I have a concern simply because the legitimacy of the process. I don't want to see us get into hot water, because to me it seems a little odd, and it's a different way of doing it. And I like with Councillor McIsaac kind of the last hour, so I'll shut up and let the CAO comment.
CAO.
Yep.
I'm learning a lot, and it's all good.
Yeah,
It's all good.
The only comment I guess I'll make on it is that my understanding is that nobody signed a contract for the student grants yet because the money isn't there, and that they've been communicating with the government representative, indicating that the money isn't there and asking for an extension of the deadline to sign the contract until they're able to come up with the money. Now, I assume when they've told the government representative come up with the money, that means going out and asking somebody else for it, as opposed to coming up with it from within. I think it's important, it's a very good point that there needs to be full disclosure on this. If in fact the town were to consider putting money in, that it is a grant, that would be a grant, and that it would be coming from the town, and that the other contracting party, the government, whichever department it is, needs to know that. I don't think it's an issue. I think what's happened here is Greg's the ideas guy, come up with the idea, has the drive, sells the idea to the ARC. The ARC is going to do an in-kind. So they're going to hire the person, they're going to advertise for the persons, select them, and supervise them throughout the term, throughout the summer. Their contribution is in-kind. The fact that the cash doesn't come from their operations, from the general operations, I don't think is a huge issue. But out of an abundance of caution, we want to make sure that it's clear that the money is coming, if any of the money is coming from the town, that part is made clear, and that we have no obligation or liability on this beyond being a granting organization, the same as every other grant we give. Now, one concern I'll raise is this: in our grants to organizations process, which this is outside of, we often give less than the full amount that's being asked for. And in this case, because it's for a very specific project, what if council did not agree to give the full amount but to give some? Would we still expect the full program to be delivered? And we often don't talk about that when it comes to our other grants to organizations processes. If we give a group 50% of what they asked, is our expectation they'll still deliver the full program. So that's just a comment.
Thank you, Your Worship. And that's true. And I forgot that portion of the grants organization, and that is true. I read the correspondence from Your Worship and Greg back and forth, and he didn't mind if Your Worship would go out and solicit funds up and down the streets. That's what it sounded like, but he really doesn't like to do that. Well, my heart it flutters for his not wanting to do that, but if he believes in it, he would believe in looking for sponsorship. That's where it should start, and that's perhaps what he should do, or whoever wants to take and champion that to do it. But to just come up at the 11th hour, 12th hour, and say we want $2,600, and we can get $2,600 from the town and hire 2 students. I think we should take a hard look at this, and like the CEO says, the full amount. We don't usually give the full amount, and he's got to have some goodwill in this. It's easy. It's not. I don't think it's a difficult thing. It probably would be for me to put all this together on paper. I mean, I have sometimes problems just turning on the computer in the mornings. But saying that, he's got to take a little bit more into this and go look for sponsorship. I would suggest that's perhaps what he should do, and to come to the taxpayers to look for the full amount. And irregardless, if what I still don't think it's that I could support it without the proper paperwork to show me that everything is up above board the way it should be. I still have some problems with it. I heard what the CEO said. That's fine. But I still have some problems with the way that it's being done and the way that it's being handled. And if everybody takes that approach to what he's doing and comes to the council, well, you've done it for this guy, why wouldn't you do it for us? You know, sometimes you got to be a little bit more cautious, and it's easy to say yes, but if you had to haul it out of your ass pocket and give it to him, you'd just have second thoughts. That's always been my way of thinking. And that's all I'll say on this, Your Worship.
Councillor Landro.
Yeah, 2 points I would make very quickly. I know time is ticking, and Your Worship, once we get this to bed, there are 2 other financial items on the agenda I really think we should deal with today, and under business, the topsoil and the compost pricing, but we'll get to that. Hopefully we can get to that before we adjourn. My concern is I'd like to see the application. First of all, that was submitted by the ARC, because the CEO has brought up a point. Who is supervising these young people? Who is taking responsibility for the young people? If the ARC is not willing, if the ARC was a funnel-through organization, which obviously it seems to be, they'll be basically cutting payroll checks, and that'll be it. So there's some issues there that need to be addressed. Is Mr. Fevens, he's a private citizen. So are these students employees of the ARC? There's a lot of questions that have got to be answered, and I realize time is ticking on these, but I really think the answer is there. So maybe my motion is, we don't have a motion? Yeah, we do have a motion on the books. Okay. Well, if my suggestion is that I'd like to make a motion that we table the motion on the floor until the June 4th meeting of council, if that's possible. And I'll explain why, because I'm going to move a second motion right after that. will that work within the time restraint that the ARC is under? Do we know?
I don't know.
And my logic is this, because I really think that after that, we should direct staff to get the application, or maybe we don't need a motion for that, to get the application, submit it to us with and also, I'd like to see our solicitor take a look at the application and make sure there's nothing in it that puts any liability on the town of Yarmouth. I mean, that's the whole idea. But on the other hand, I think Mr. Fevens, I'd hate him to be off the assumption that the ARC is covering liability or the town is covering liability on this, because a busker is not an event. We have coverage under the Yarmouth Celebration Society for events in the town of Yarmouth that are all listed. Specific events are listed that the CAO does in dealing with the insurance company. But here you have buskers that are performing every day on a street. What happens if? You know, and there's the if variable there. And I hate to be an insurance nut or a legal nut, but I've got some concerns there, and I really am reluctant to go ahead with this until we actually see what is our liability. And I'd like to ideally get a recommendation from staff upon after they see this, say, okay, what should we do here?
So, yeah, go
And he
ahead.
touched on my points exactly. Even if we're upfront, because I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. I think the timing's bad. I think there's other avenues that they could have explored to get the funding. But I have the thing, if they already know through ERDT that the YARC is just a flow-through person, and something actually happens with liability or, you know, anything, any number of things can happen down there on the waterfront or with inappropriate behavior. Well, all we were was just a funding agent, and the town of Yarmouth is actually the one who provided the money. We're on the hook. Right? I don't know what the opinion is, but maybe we could get that from the solicitor with the other information you asked for.
Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. So the motion should, are you saying the motion should say that, yes, indeed, we are in principle, we are in favor of this, but contingent on the solicitor looking at the papers, at the contract?
Okay, so let me ask this question, CAO.
Well, does that mean that my motion
Councillor
first has to
Dawes-
be,
Councillor Dawes had a motion on the table. She had a motion. So then you table it. You. It goes to June 4th, which we'll discuss in the June 4th meeting if staff. Was there a seconder on the table motion? We need a
Yes, there
seconder on
was.
the tabled motion.
And then you have a vote.
Oh, okay, all right.
On the table.
On the
Vote
table.
tabling immediately.
Table it. Okay, yeah, okay. So for tabling it to the June 4th meeting? All right, no discussion? Okay, question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried, okay. And that will give us time to get some information. Okay, fast as we can. Yeah, litter, I put litter on there because I think, yeah, go ahead.
Your
sorry.
Worship, forgive me for this, but we do have two financial items, I think, down later under business. There's two tenders that are in there
Oh, well, let's
that
do
we
one.
should be looking at.
Where are
Under item 8A and 8B, topsoil prices and bulk compost. And given the time of the year, I'd like to make a motion that we accept. Yeah, it's under 8A, 8B, I believe. CAO, you want us to get those out of the way today? Okay, let's get rid of the three of them because Dave's sitting here and I know he wants to live it. Yeah, so
Okay.
8A, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the town engineer to go with the bid from Western Landscaping for the screen topsoil and screen topsoil manure mix.
So
That's my
moved.
motion.
Moved and seconded. Any,
Whoa, Dave? It doesn't.
What I'm talking about is the retail price for bulk compost at the compost facility. That was just for comparison purposes, those prices that were mentioned for.
Oh, I thought, are we doing 8A or B? I was doing 8A, topsoil prices. I'm doing topsoil prices. 8A.
I don't know what that is.
I assume that's a result for our attention. Oh, my apologies. No.
yep, go ahead, CAO.
Okay, so we had sought some information with regard to the sort of what's the market price for topsoil and topsoil with with compost amendments. And that information is there just as background information. Dave's memo regarding bulk compost pricing is the item on which we need to make a decision. And so his recommendation is that we raise the price from bulk finished compost. So this is the stuff that people come and we load into the truck with a loader by the bucketful, up to $35 per cubic yard plus HST. Currently, it's being sold for $25, and it appears that based on market conditions, that's probably a very reasonable and appropriate charge for that compost. Did I summarize that correctly, Dave?
My apologies, I misunderstood. I thought we were running top.
Nope. We're selling the good stuff.
I'd like to make a motion, Your Worship.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That we accept the recommendation of the engineer that we raise the price of finished compost at our solid waste park to $30 per cubic yard, $35 per cubic yard.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Where are we next? Councillor Langell?
Oh, let's.
Go ahead, CAO. Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. There was a memo that was circulated on your desk today. Apologize for its late arrival. It is with regard to the multi-use trail from which we got Councillor Dawes. We have I meant to mention this earlier. One of the grant programs you referenced earlier was Nova Scotia Moves. We currently have a funded program under Nova Scotia Moves. It's the Clements Avenue Trail. They provide us with $140,000 last year for that, and it's the largest grant they gave out last year. So we will access that program again in the future if we have another project that fits and we're successful with this one. So in any case, this is for the actual construction of the trail to go from Parade Street through to Stars Road. And the pricing you can see there, we have two prices, and they both include an option for asphalt, type D asphalt, as well as a contingency. And so because the full build out with the asphalt would exceed our current budget allocation, the recommendation of the engineer is that it be awarded to Garion Construction in the amount of $176,845.23 plus HST as the low bid.
Does the asphalt good asphalt, Dave? The asphalt, is that good asphalt?
It's a different type of asphalt.
Oh, how come we can't get,
It's not for traffic.
how come we can't get a asphalt?
So, okay, Councillor, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to get some clarification. So we're awarding it to Garion for 176. So we're not putting asphalt down. It's just going to be a dirt trail. We're not accepting the $80,957.50 for the asphalt.
We're eliminating that. It was a provisional item in the tender, so we could take it out if we wish.
My question is, if we see the need down the road that we may want to asphalt that? What is the long-range plan for that? And if we do, will there be a lot of prep work to prepare it for asphalt? I mean, would we be better off to do it now out of our capital budget than to let it sit and then try maybe in 3 or 4 years decide we're going to asphalt it? Because I know as a walker, looking at that trail on Pleasant Street, it does add quite a bit to it. And once you're into the dirt, there's a lot of maintenance issues.
Go ahead, you're on.
My opinion, it would be ideal if we were able to pave it now. What I would fear is that if you don't pave it, it'll be subject to obviously some erosion from use, but also from water and whatnot. And so you'll be putting more money in down the road to pave it later than just simply what the paving would cost today. The difficulty we have, of course, is budget. We did not provide an additional allocation for this project, and so if we are to fund this to do the full build out now, we'll have to go back to the capital budget and make some kind of compromise there.
Sorry.
I think that may be worthwhile. I mean, we're putting a fair chunk of infrastructure in place right now. You know, and I know Councillor Mooney and I are both walking nuts. I mean, when you walk up on the railway bed, there's a lot of maintenance has to be kept up there. You start putting this trail in, as we're going to do, that's going to attract a lot of attention. And I really think if there's some way that we can find a way to do it, I really think we should try to find a way to do it. Seeking direction from CAO how to deal with this, but I know it may mean to sacrifice something or change something. I don't know where we stand, but to me it's a good project, and it's a very proactive project, and it's a good fitness project, and also it's going to serve a really nice link from Parade Street over to Stars Road, which is something we've talked about around this table for years. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right.
So with that in mind, if council shares that opinion, then direction to staff to review the capital budget and come forward on June 4th with a recommendation if we were able to find the money, and how we would find the money within the capital budget.
Okay, so moved, seconded, discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, where are we now? Okay. Are we going right back to where we were? We got to be out of here by like 5. We're going to be done by 5, and we still have some in camera. So is there anything else on there that anybody's desperate about?
The agenda, I've forgotten, I beg council's indulgence. We've got these lighthouses coming here, these lighthouses from Hades that are coming on Tuesday. The things we get ourselves involved in. Anyway, the intention is to have a small reception here on Tuesday after the unveiling of the town hall, and I'd like to make a motion to council that we approve the cost for a small reception at town hall following the unveiling of the lighthouses on Tuesday, May the 27th. I have no idea. No, I haven't done the invitation because I didn't dare until council approved it.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
We agreed at the last, sorry.
Go ahead. What's that?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm okay with it, but we did agree at the last meeting that amount of money that we had approved, you had made the motion for, that was all that was going to be paid with anything that had to do with these lighthouses. You said that was it. They're not going to cost anything else. There's no other expenses going to be incurred.
What are we doing? Tea and coffee, which we have here, and a couple of fruits?
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm all right with it. I began with saying okay. However, I do recall that we did bring up that no more was going to be spent.
Not to drag this out, Councillor, there are things that we do, unfortunately, we can't look in the future, and when this event unveil, when I brought it to council, I was focusing on the installation. So I will publicly apologize to council for grossly misleading them, that all costs will be incurred with that in that budgetary amount that we gave, which I will add, Councillor Dawes, for your information, we had agreed expenses for the gentleman involved, and he now is doing that on his own. So we saved, if there's any consolation, we will be under that amount. So, however, if it does concern you, we can, yeah. Well, that's the intent, but I just wanted to make sure that we approve the reception for transparency purposes.
Okay, good. Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Go ahead, Councillor.
Quick one, and the same thing, and I was at the function yesterday. I'd like to make a motion that we send a letter of congratulations to the Victorian Order of Nurses for being 110 years in the town of Yarmouth.
Thank you. And thank you for being my date yesterday. Okay, moved and seconded. Questions been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Skate park's done. The litter thing, we don't have to discuss it. It was just, I put it on there because we're just getting way too many calls about litter, but I think we're doing much better than most places. So when we have crosswalks and fire hydrants, very quickly, I had a group from the Women's Center, a group of youth that came in, and they were asking to paint is there any way they can paint the crosswalks different colors? The different, you know, the orange, the pink, the blue. Don't be shaking your head no, okay? They do it, and I said I'd bring it forward because they do it in BC. It's beautiful. But when I talked to the CAO, there's some liability issues that we don't need to get into. The second question was the fire hydrants. Can we do one purple for victims of abuse? Can we do one pink for breast cancer? Can they do the fire hydrants? So that was a question. And I said, Chief, I said, I think they're coded. Okay? Yeah. And I did tell them that, but I want to bring it to council to say, and the other thing I said to them was, there's going to be lots of walls, like people are actually donating their walls to be painted, so we can probably go that way and give them that venue, because the others don't seem like they're going to work for legal reasons, so we're good. Okay.
Your Worship, just a quick suggestion.
Yeah.
I know sometimes in the winter they put up a stick of something to let people know that there's a fire hydrant for snow and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe if they look at maybe putting up one of these with a placard or something on it, and whatever it is. Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
These are safety issues, but a little short stick or whatever to recognize abusive or cancer or something like that with a little plaque or something. Maybe you could stick one of them on the hydrant.
Okay.
They screw on easy and nice. So just
Good.
a thought.
Thank you. CAO review. Man, we got to get that done. I put it on there just because we need a date, but you can get back to us. What's that? By the end of April. Yeah, that's why I said I better add it again. And it's been crazy. I mean, it's been a crazy spring. So, Linda, you can do that and get back to us. I put 6. What's that? You're darn right she is. You'd be going in there and getting her a cookie. I put the acoustics plan on because if we're taking it off the shelf and we're putting it on our desks, where are we? How do you want to handle that? Without a great big long conversation, should we maybe in the next month sit down as a council and kind of see where we are, what we want to do? We could probably do that, okay? Okay, we'll do a special, Linda, we're going to do a special meeting for that, acoustics, in the morning, yeah, and then get our thoughts together, because we can't haul it off the shelf and not do something with it, right? Okay, Natal Day. Now, visitors coming, and for the life of me, Ken, I had your name written down because there was something on June the 9th, travel writers.
Yeah, we have a gang of travel writers here.
Right? And all I could think was Natal Day. I never know what's Natal Day except somebody asked me or Phil in the past to come down and cut a piece of cake. And sorry, but is that going to be enough? Like, we've got David Oley that will do something. And
The good news is they're going to be in Argyle, staying that night at Trope Point. So we at the old Argyler. So
at the old Argyle.
Yeah, they're at Trope Point late the next day or whatever. So we won't see them until the next day.
All right.
So we're good to go.
Okay, I just want to make sure like we're doing stuff for Natal Day, I guess. All right, that's good.
So your worship,
Yes,
for the assistance plan,
yes.
you're going to get a date set up?
Linda's given us a date for in the morning. Absolutely, yes. The corrections from the May 15th council meeting, I just watched it and I wasn't there. So I just, first of all, just so we're clear, I think it was just a miscommunication. I didn't support any separately Arcadia School Central or South. What happened was the government was going to shut down the schools, and so we went to each of the schools. I think you guys went to, did you not go to the South School? So we covered all the schools off. So I wasn't supporting Arcadia, even though that's the first place I kissed my husband. I support where you guys said at council last week, 150%. It needs to be on Central. I just want to say that. And
I mean, it was said in the media.
Because I was there, and I spoke at that, but I couldn't get to the south one, but I know you guys were there to speak, so, just so we know. And the other thing is, it's just a misinterpretation, I don't have an all-hands-on-deck business. It's not a business. It's just, I was listening, and I said, just... Okay, go ahead.
There lies the clarification that needs to be,
Okay.
that needs to be brought up, because
Okay.
I don't know if your all hands on deck is part of your speaking tour that you do at different times. I haven't got a clue. I know that you called a meeting for an all hands meeting out at the Mariner Center.
Yeah.
You called it for Pam Mood, not the mayor of Yarmouth.
No, I called it as the mayor of Yarmouth.
Well, I didn't know, because there was nothing brought across that was passed as a motion for you to do this. That's why that's why I'm kind of mixed up.
Okay.
That's where I am confused, and
Okay.
it's not you had said at one time also that it wasn't a town initiative, the all hands on deck, what you were doing. That was part of what you done as Pam Mood, not as the mayor of the town of Yarmouth. That's what you had said at a meeting here, if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be. Sometimes I have selective hearing, right? So there's where I'm not totally confused. I think you did say that, and now if you're saying you called it as the mayor of Yarmouth, that's a different thing. But you called it as a mayor of Yarmouth, but there was nothing made around the table saying that we all agreed that you should call this meeting, that I can recall.
Okay, no, there wasn't. So I called it from the mayor's office. It was just, it was an initiative that came out of the mayor's office, which I believe I'm able to do. I know I'm able to do that because I checked. I just called a meeting as the mayor, and that's where it is. So the all hands on deck was just a catchphrase. And I'll be honest, I intended just to engage the community and see what the community wanted to do. It's taken on a life of its own, and I can't apologize for it. Not that anyone's asked me to apologize.
Well, no, that's not the intent, and that's not what I had meant and what I had said.
That,
Had nothing to do with that. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
The meeting and everything was successful, but it's just a bit confusing to me anyway. I don't know about anybody else.
So as the mayor, I can call a meeting. Okay, so it's, and I did.
Anybody can call a meeting.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway,
So,
that's,
no, but since you brought that up,
yes, sir.
there's one thing I'd like to ask also, and I think I called Jeff and asked Jeff on it the other day. There's been money donated to come out of this from the all hands on deck, whatever it's called. People are donating money, and they're getting a tax receipt from the town, but they're doing it for the all hands on deck, or are they doing it for the town of Yarmouth? And if there is, how much funding is there? And have you used any of the funding? And how does people access this funding?
Okay, so it's a lot of questions. Jerry, did you hear those questions? Because people, I asked right off, because when the community says, I want to help, you find a way to let them do what they want to do.
100%.
So some people couldn't paint, or they couldn't do the weeding, gardening. I would send them to Ken for Communities in Bloom. So people said, I would really like to donate. So one lady said, my daughter passed away from cancer. I'd like to donate this towards a park bench. And I think that was the only one that was stipulated, that that's what I would like to put it towards.
Okay.
So I said, Jerry, how do we do this? And you want to explain how we do this? The money we haven't spent any money. It's in there. And I asked about the tax receipts, because the town is, however that works. Go ahead. I haven't touched any of it.
Yeah, no, to date, I looked it up this afternoon, or earlier today, and there's a little better than $1,900, I think, that has been donated.
Oh my goodness, I thought it was
And I think we spent maybe 120 or so, and that was just kind of to facilitate the second meeting, I think, is all that expense was.
All right.
But to date, nothing's been spent out of the fund other than that.
All right.
Okay. Well, that's great, because I didn't know that anybody was donating anything for us, and the town of Yarmouth was giving cash receipts, tax receipts. So I didn't know that. I didn't know any of it.
Yeah.
So
I
now
don't do money.
it was made,
It's a
pardon?
good question, because I don't do money. I
No,
just go to
no,
Jerry
and, but
I say,
Je- I
how do
had,
you
a-
make it work?
yeah, I had a
right?
conversation with Jeff, and I also had the conversation,
Okay.
I had a different conversation on the Buster situation.
Yeah.
I had a long conversation
Yeah.
with Jeff,
Oh, good.
and we talked about that, so it's
Yeah.
not new to him, and it's
Yeah.
probably not new to
Yeah.
Jerry. Anyway, thank you
The
very much.
Buster stuff's new to me, those questions you
Yeah,
asked, because I'm glad you asked.
I could see by the email, the
Yeah.
way that you were corresponding in the emails,
Yeah.
that you had some questions and some concerns also.
Yeah.
And especially when it said about, perhaps you wouldn't mind going to do a little bit of campaigning and sponsors for, but anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll leave it at that, please.
No, it's good. Councillor Lanjo, go ahead.
Just in 2 seconds, the Communities in Blooms has a subcommittee working on a property asset program, and the mayor and I, just for council's attention, have discussed this, and I think it's the intention is to roll that into that fund eventually, but we're still doing the dotting the i's and crossing the t. The CAO has made some recommendations to us, and we hope to have that draft for you for the June 11th meeting.
Nice. Good. Yes, certainly, go ahead.
Yeah, just for everybody's information, because Councillor McIsaac wasn't aware of this, and maybe others weren't either, is that individuals can make donations to the town of Yarmouth. We are considered a registered charity, and as such, we can issue receipts that you can use for deductions on your income tax. Now, people don't often come in with their tax bills as well as with a donation as well, but from time to time, we do receive donations, and we do issue those receipts, and it's like a donation to any charity. It isn't like a political donation. It's a lower level. But yeah, so if the intention is to roll the money to use it for infrastructure, for park infrastructure, that's great. If the intention is to use the money in some other way, we should have a discussion about that, because the fund is sitting there and it's intended to I guess support the community.
And the only stipulation from my point was the lady that sent the letter about her daughter and a bench, and I'd love to honor that for her. Yeah. Good. Okay. Additions. Oh, man. Okay. It says, oh, Canada. I sent Linda a letter. I said, please.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that staff be directed to return the little CD player and the nice tape for O Canada for council meetings, please.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Oh, she did. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. You probably, who said nay? I love singing it, but... Yeah, I think some of us drowned that out. All hands on deck. Did that answer those questions? Who? 2 or 3
times has come up my question.
You good? Okay. Broadbrook.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Very, very quickly. I'm going to make a motion that our town staff look into putting at least one trash receptacle down on the Broadbrook Trail, because the kids, they are notorious. We know exactly, the residents know exactly how long it takes the kids to consume one bag of chips when they leave school, because as soon as they come there, they're just boom, and they fly around. So the residents themselves, they have been picking up, but then they also fly into, the empty bags fly into the brook itself. So they're asking, could you put at least one trash receptacle on there, please, as well as at least one bench?
So both things. So
Yes.
staff look into at least one trash receptacle and a bench on
And
the
at least
Broadbrook Trail.
one bench.
So moved and seconded. Any, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, comment.
Just the only comment is this is the third or fourth bit of public furniture that we're approving today. We do have a budget for that. It's a limited budget for this. I mean, there was a motion last year to put more money in the budget for this stuff, and we have. But just to make you aware that there's a limit, and I'm not sure how far the money will go, but.
Councillor
They want a
McIsaac.
Your Worship, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, exactly what I was going to say. There is $1,900 there, and you're looking at Broadbrook out there. I've had some people that do the walking there, and they said it would be nice to have some benches, you know,
Yes.
either the beginning, the middle, and at the end. We're not looking to plaster them with that, and receptacles there. But my question to Jeff: do we own that piece of land? Does that belong to? Okay, it belongs to us. Okay, so would that burden our public works people to do that? Does it cause them any grief? Does they go out there and pick this stuff up or not? I mean, does it? Yes. Okay, that's great. That's great. But okay, so Your Worship, the $1,900 that's been given in there, he's shaking his head no. But he's got plans for all communities, and you can't have it. You can't have it all. But anyway, the $1,900, if you take some of that and look at some benches or whatever, if we can use that money, we don't have enough. That might be something to look at.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my only
You're good, Ken.
my only comment on this is that we talked earlier about more garbage receptacles around town, and we
Yeah.
don't want to just put out painted barrels.
No.
And so, you know,
Those
I
cost
totally
money.
agree. You know what I did on my run today? I picked up litter. I
Yeah,
stopped
good
every
for
bit of
you.
litter I saw,
Good for you.
and then I looked for garbage cans.
Yeah.
And I carried litter for a good while at some points because there aren't enough.
Well, can I make a suggestion to you? Put a knapsack on, then you can be able to put it in. Anyway, so if we can look at that, that would be great. If you can't, that's just an option. Thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
Your Worship, regarding the bench, maybe there would be a citizen or a group of citizens who might consider making a donation.
Yeah,
So I just
We can
mentioned
look
that out loud.
yeah. I'd like to know how much it
Yeah.
costs. Go ahead.
And Jim is right. Jim is absolutely right. I have no problem with the garbage receptacles and even a doggy poop station because I know we have those and that's within reason. I agree with the CAO. With a bench, we're putting in, as Jim pointed out, we are putting together this policy for community acquisition. I would. Right now, I prefer not to put the bench there. It'll give us a chance to get this policy in place. And as Jim said, once we get the policy in place, I think the communities in Bloom plans to be very active to get corporate sponsorship of benches. The issue in the town before has been signage on these things and recognizing with plaques. But I think the garbage can is prime, is the main thing we got to look at, and also the poop receptacle, but that's an in or out on that one. But I think the garbage cans are a priority. And let's just wait on the bench until we get this together for the June 12th. I made a mistake. I apologize. June 12th meeting, and we'll have this policy to you, and you guys can take a look at it. And I think you'll like it, and it'll cover a lot of the issues.
Great. Councillor?
Thank you. I have to somewhat, I disagree. Never mind the benches. If the benches are not in the plan, then I have a problem with that. I've had quite a few people, half a dozen people at least that use that for walking, requested benches. That's what they requested, benches. A lot of these people don't walk and eat, so they don't need receptacles. If people are walking and eating, it's usually probably kids using it for a path. But let me be the first to say, if you're looking for a sponsor for a bench, I'd like to be one of those sponsors for a bench. When you pick out the type of benches that you want, I'd like to sponsor one of those benches on from the McIsaac family on behalf of my parents. And I will do that. And that's a very good idea to look at sponsorships that way. I know if you walk down the trail, the old track trail, there's all kinds of them in memory of whoever. That's a great idea. And I would be very happy to do that. So you have to pick out, if it's community in Blooms are looking at benches or whoever, or at the town, you can put me down for a bench. Thank you.
Councillor Dawes?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think that's a marvelous gesture. Very good, and I agree. People have been asking since last year about the benches. They've been pushing. They're losing their patience. And I'm sure that if we don't have a bench somewhere, there's got to be a spare bench somewhere in town to put out there because they are complaining. Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, question.
And the motion is for the park bench and the receptacle?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. 211, Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Your
Go ahead.
Worship. Everyone has this little, I guess they're handouts. There's one poster here from 211 Nova Scotia. Also, a little, I guess it's an oversized rat card from 211, as well as the equivalent size of a little business card. Those of us that were at the spring workshop just recently, Mr. Myatt, the executive director of 211 Nova Scotia, made an excellent presentation there. He introduced the service to us there that helps Nova Scotians navigate through over 4,000 community and social services provided by nonprofit organizations, community groups, and government departments, such as, and out of 4,000, there's 13 that are just listed on the back of this one card. Food banks, employment training, adult learning, child care, disability services, recreation programs, senior services, home care, new immigrant programs, shelters, addiction services, mental health support, employment insurance, and about another 3,990. The 211 navigation tool can be accessed either by dialing just plain 211 or by going through their their website, ns.211.ca. I would like to I'm making a motion, first of all, to add this information, this number, this information to the town's website. If we make that available to everyone, it would save everyone else a lot of time, because I am quite sure that town hall here gets a lot more telephone calls than we do as councillors asking.
The mayor, you know what kind of
So
calls
that they're just asking, you know, where, what, how about different services. So that would help time there. Also, I would like to make a second motion, and that is the fact that Mr. Myatt, when we were up there at the spring workshop, he expressed interest in traveling down to Yarmouth to make a presentation to council to explain 211 Nova Scotia. I'm helping him to arrange his meeting with a number of local nonprofit organizations when he does come down. So I would like to make the motion to ask staff to write Mr. Myatt a letter and extend an invitation to him.
Okay. So first motion.
Present to council. Now, hold on. Also, at that time, perhaps could we advertise that so that the public, is it funny? So that the public can also come and listen in, because that would help them a great deal. I'm done, thank you.
Good. Okay, so the first motion is, did you want to say
Yeah,
something
yeah, I
first?
do. I just want to ask just a quick question. It's invite him down at his cost?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
So, did you hear that? Yes.
What more information is he going to give them we already have and you already listened to? Or are you going to put up on the website?
If you had sat in on his presentation that morning at the spring workshop, then you would know what all he still wants to explain and share. This is also more for the public.
So the first motion is,
I guess I'm done.
the first motion is to add the 211 to the town website, which would be a tremendous help. My answering machine will now say, please call 211, okay? Or 742-6112. Okay, so moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. The second one is to, for staff, that staff be directed to send a letter of invitation to the gentleman who will be traveling on his own dime, I guess, so we'll use that, to extend an invitation to, yeah, maybe to a committee of the whole meeting, to come to Yarmouth and present at the same time, advertised so that the public can be made aware of this. Okay? So that's the second motion. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Good. Town clocks on Main Street. Who's got that? Go ahead.
There, thank you, Your Worship. This is a suggestion that, a repeated suggestion, and it's a great idea. However, I'm going to leave it up to staff to look into this. The clocks are 2 town clocks, not the one here, but the one down on Main Street and another one on Water Street. They have four faces, and it has been suggested many, many times, great idea, if we had one clock face giving us Yarmouth time, another one Portland time, with a little label underneath it says Portland, Maine, and the other two, pick another city around the world, New York, Toronto, tide times, I don't know. But I think it's, pardon me?
Just have to wait every 6 months. We don't change the time, we change the heading, Portland, Yarmouth. Okay, so are all the faces up? Like, are all the, yeah. Oh, refer to staff, okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so you'll come back with a, all right,
Thank
good.
you.
Yes, you certainly.
I just throw a comment out. I agree in principle with it. The only problem I have is the visibility. Like a lot of people, like especially walkers, if we're walking on Main Street, we're looking down and we only see the one face or the two faces. If suddenly it's going to be a little bit of confusion if you're a long distance away to figure out that's Bar Harbor time. And if you're a tourist driving into the town of Yarmouth, anticipating the ferry, you look at that Milton clock and you realize, and you look at the Bar Harbor face, holy geez, I missed the boat. Or I'll say, what? And, yeah, or they're an hour early. So I would really, I think it's a good idea, but I'd express caution because you need some big signage there to say this is Bar Harbor time, folks, because to make it work. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor?
Oh, I was just going to say, well, would you like to amend that motion to only 1 clock and 4 faces under each time face, clock face? There would be a little sign that indicates the.
Okay, staff will look at it. Okay, all right, so the motion's on the floor. Okay, any discussion, any more discussion? Question's been called, all those in favor? Contrary? Nay. Okay, we gotta have hands.
Who seconded the motion?
You seconded it?
Yep, he's second.
Who seconded it?
Did anybody second it? Whoops. I forgot you were here. Okay. Okay. So it was moved and seconded, and the question's been called. All those in favor? Put your hand up. Okay. Contrary? Oh my goodness. Now I feel guilty. I can't. And only because I get so confused. Oh.
I am from now on. Anyone that comes to me and complains, I'm going to send it straight to the.
Send them to, you do that.
Everybody's council email address.
Yeah, well, you know, it's about 9:30 in Truro. That's all I care about. Okay, town website. Whoever's got that, very quickly. You need your light on, please. And thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, I've had people wanting to know that they can't find things on our website, so I want to make a motion to recommend to staff to look at having a search button and a comment box added to our town website.
Well. Search button. We don't have a search button?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have a search button.
Go ahead, CAO.
Yeah, we used to have a really good search on our website, and we redid our website. And one of the issues with our really good search was that it didn't search PDF documents that were attached to the website. It only searched the actual content in the HTML pages. And that's a problem as it relates to our agendas, because everything that's attached to our agendas is in a PDF format, right? The agendas themselves are searchable, but not the content. And so people go to our website, use the search, and weren't able to find half the information that's on there. So Tim Thievens, our web guy, is looking for a, I don't know what you call it, a plug-in or whatever, a search utility to put on our website that will do both, search the PDF documents as well as the website itself.
Okay.
So we're working on it. We're not there yet.
And a comment box?
And a comment box we can add. I
Okay.
don't think there's a comment box now, is there?
Nope.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, and along with that comment box, you need to have somebody monitoring the comment box.
Oh, definitely.
And a list of names.
The comments are
Okay.
for the town.
The comments don't come through. Okay, good, good. All right, I like that.
Me?
Okay, so who seconded that?
Who's second?
Okay, Counselor Lanto, go ahead.
Thank you.
The only other comment on the website is that it's been a bugbear, is under the public notice section, you only get half the notice. Like, it only goes so far, and that's it, and you can't expand the box. So, for example, this is advised that council is at its This is to serve notice that the may Is that the trick? Because we don't tell people to do that, and see, and I'm somewhat... Oh, there it is. Is there a way that we could tell people to double-click? Because I'm stupid.
I found that out myself.
You found that
Yeah.
out? I'm impressed, Danny. Danny picked it up. You're smart.
Not on this one, on
Okay.
other things, that Linda sent.
Yeah.
Linda sent stuff.
So,
Let me go back. Okay, so we're okay, I'm good.
good?
This is on
Okay, so
these.
the motion's on the floor for the comment button and the search button. Okay, all questions been called, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary, motion
Right here.
carried. And Water Street parking, that you, Counselor? Go ahead,
See if you look at this.
bring it.
See, there's no... I don't have to double-click.
This is a hard one. I've had a lot of complaints from, we want businesses on Water Street.
Yes.
There's a lot of complaining with businesses that people park all day on Water Street and that they're not able, customers are not able to park to go to any of the businesses.
Yep.
So I'm going to make a motion to recommend to the traffic authority to look at 1-hour parking on Water Street.
Okay, so moved. You got a seconder? I'll second it. Okay, Counselor McIsaac.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm glad you brought that up about Water Street, because there really has to be something done about parking. Either we have to seriously look at people down there either buy pass permits or whatever for the day or whatever. I don't know. Just a thought, because people that work in that area are probably their worst enemies that park there, and they ought not to. But you can't tell them not to because it's free and nobody's doing anything about it. Right. We ought to look at perhaps giving them a pass like we have in our parking lots, or have no parking there altogether, or just 15-minute parking or 20-minute parking or whatever. I don't know. Another thing also, Killam's Wharf. We have people using our marina down there, the parking spots for the parking for their own businesses. One new one in particular that sells real estate, and their staff parks down there. That's going to cause a problem this summer. They're using it as their parking when they have parking there themselves in the front of their own buildings. So that's got to be addressed. Parking is a big problem. Not only that, but at the corners, even at the corners when you drive down any street, it's very, very hard to see. You got to come out in the middle of the road practically, and it's dangerous, very dangerous. This is not an old issue. It's been an issue that's been brought up quite a few times before, and we got to address it before something really happens. I don't know what the cure is, but it's either we have no parking on Water Street, we have parking on one side of Water Street, the Water Street side, because that would alleviate the problem that you can't see when you come down the hill, or we have a time limit parking. I'm for free parking, but if people are going to use that for parking for their own business and stuff, then we ought to sell passes or whatever. There should be something there to identify that parking spot's being taken by a paid person or whatever. I don't know, but there's got to be a remedy for it. So that's my.
Thank you.
It's not a
Counselor
rant.
Mooney?
I won't support,
it's not.
I won't support the motion. I was chastised here for wanting to give free parking all over town, and I was told by, I think, 3 councillors around this table, there's nothing wrong with the parking issue in the town of Yarmouth. Councillor Dennis, you told me there's nothing wrong with the parking issue and leave it the way it is. Deputy Mayor said, leave it the way it is. It's worked for 25 years, let it work for 25 more. We have a bigger problem than parking. We should have free parking. That will alleviate some of that stuff down there on Water Street and free up some of those spots. We had Michael DeVeris come in here blasting my ass one night, not knowing he did, saying I didn't know what I was talking about when it came to parking. But the next 2 weeks later, he came. He said, "I want no parking in front of my inn." So what is it? We've patchworked, we've band-aided this over the last 25 or 30 years. Councillor McIsaac hit it on the head. Free everywhere. Free. There's going to be problems at Killam's Wharf. You're 100% right. When that comes this summer, when there's Seafest, when there's a fireworks, when there's a function at Rudders, when there's a seafood extravaganza, when there's something else going down on the waterfront with the boat or anything else, people park and gather there. There's going to be a problem. We should let it free. We want to encourage people to come downtown. And I hope we can bring this up again. I might even vote to pass this motion so I can discuss it on TV. Because that's how, yeah. And I can't see anything not good coming out of that, because it should be free from Vancouver Street, it should be free to Argyle Street, it should be free from Water Street, it should be free to the end of Forest Street. We shouldn't enforce. I walked out of here today. We had 2 people in here signing complaints about parking issues. We had one that was taking care of a 90-year-old aunt or grandmother that was having very serious problems that home care wouldn't go in and take care of a certain situation. He came out during one of the blizzards and he had a $15 ticket on his car, taking care of a personal family situation. You know something? Parking, and Councillor McLeod has been here the same time as I have. I think he's had one more term, but we've had problems with parking in the 80s. We're going to have problems now that the trucks are going to be going up and down Water Street from the fish plants, from the boats, and then Councillor Dennis wants to put all-terrain vehicles down on Water Street too. So what are we going to do?
I do too.
I do too.
No, that's not the way to do it.
So,
Let's don't deal with it today, let's refer it to the proper
can we do that? Here's my feeling, honestly.
We can't, what, with the parking or with the all-terrain vehicles?
No, we're not going down the all-terrain vehicles. I got to get out of here at 5 o'clock. But so here's I know. I think we need to sit, just my suggestion, I think we need to sit down together and hash through the parking.
We were going to.
Because I think you made that motion.
That's
Okay.
my latest
Okay,
motion.
so can we're gonna, I know, we got a million things, but is everybody, we're still good to sit down and hash through that parking thing?
I'm going to tell you right now.
What?
I'm going to tell you my thing with the parking. You can
Yeah.
sit down, you can talk about it all you want. My parking, I'm going to put it right down. I'll put it down on a 1-sentence piece of paper. Free everywhere. No time limits, and store owners are going to have to manage it themselves, their own employees. And I think if you want to encourage business to come downtown, they do it at the malls, and we always compare apples to apples. Well, if they're shopping out there, people that work out there are parking in that same lot. They're going to have to find a way to park downtown. But my thing is you can discuss it all day. You can bring in the business owners, and I got rattled here a couple times. Not rattled personally, but they try to rattle me. Free.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Langeau.
You know, and there's just two quickies, and Phil has got a point. The other concern that we have is right now we made a mistake on this parking. I agree. I think because we get tourists in this community now. 1 hour, that's all they're going to have on Main Street. That's it. They have 1 hour, and here we are, worked our hard to get a boat. And the very people who we want to shop in our downtown is going to end up getting tickets and coming into the town, you know, for tickets. Number one. Number two, the real issue on Water Street with the traffic authority is going to look at, and this was brought up in our previous council and was shot down, you got to get rid of parking on one side of that street. Because now you have got a problem with trucks coming down, we've got ferry travel coming down, we've got to look at that whole traffic flow along Water Street, and your big issue is that blankety-blank median on Vancouver Street. Because now we have people with huge vans or these they can't get by. The buses use that Water Street as a route, and people with the large camper trailers can't get down that street now, and it's very awkward to get some down some of the other streets in town. That used to be the major turn area, but we put this median for whatever reason there, and I know there's a reason for it, but the concern is when I look at the traffic flow of the RCMP, they actually have to illegally go up now in order to do an ambulance call or an emergency to the hospital. So there's an issue there. So we have to look at that as well.
Okay, Councillor Dennis, last say, and then we gotta.
Yes, Councillor Mooney. I was for to leave parking the way it was on Main Street. I was okay with anywhere else. This is brought up by other businesses that are on Water Street. I'm not on Water Street. And it's my job as a councillor to bring it forward because that's what people ask me to do. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing my job, whether I like it or not. I knew it was going to be a controversial article, but I'm just doing my job.
Good, okay. So there's a motion on the floor. Was it seconded?
Yes, I seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor of the 1 hour parking on Water Street? All those in favor? Contrary? Nay. Okay. All right. It's defeated.
Just one
But
point.
we'll bring it. We'll have to
You know
check.
something, I've sat around this table, this is my 8th year, and I've had people bring up suggestions. I had somebody wanted on the Old Milton School site to put a tannery up there. Meat manufacturing de-reduction plant. And Councillor, my job is to protect the citizens of the town of Yarmouth. And I didn't bring that forward, and I didn't make that a motion. I told the person at that time that I didn't think that was a good idea, and I didn't think that would fly in the neighborhood. If you do that down there, there's going to be an outcry down there because you're going to have Ravens and all the other ones, and the same people that are making the argument that we need 1 hour parking or we need a rotation through the parking are going to be the same ones in the end that their customers are going to be getting tickets. So we're all here to do a job. I think we're doing it fairly well. That we got tough economic times, but this parking has been going on, as Councilor McLeod said, since 30 years. And we'll be here 30 years from now, we'll probably be talking about the same thing. Jim will still be here.
Okay. All right. We good? Because we gotta move. Okay, we gotta go in camera, but Jody Shelley, golf for the health. Okay, Phil, is that yours?
I think that's
Jody,
to Linda.
that good?
Your worship,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we put a team in the Jody Shelley Golf Tournament, but in addition to the motion, I'll send a letter to the Hospital Foundation stating our policy for grants to organizations. This comes up every year. Telling them that I should put that into grants to organizations next year.
Okay, so moved. Seconded. Discussion. Questions been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary?
There's only two of us next.
Where's the nay? You don't have to explain your
5 to
nay.
2.
Where's the,
5 to 2.
Nay?
5 to 2, okay, motion carried. And, yeah, quick one.
I'm voting nay because it's a cost. Put the team in, have 11,
1,200, I think. 12, I think.
I'd like the email that Councillor Langell wrote that I read. If you want to attend these, you should pay your own way. And that's what it should be. The taxpayers should not pay for councillors or whoever to go for an afternoon in golf, no matter what cause it is. Let the person who wants to go bed up pay for their own. That's just my suggestion. But that's the only reason I voted for it.
That's why you need to say your comments before.
Well, everything happened so quick. I can't say anything.
Okay, that's all right.
Can I just bring up one very quick point on that further?
Yeah.
This West Nova fundraising thing, I sent an email around.
Yeah, I didn't see it yet.
I think council holders should pay for that themselves. I have no problem. This is a political fundraiser. West Nova fundraising.
Oh, yes.
Conservative.
I mean, I don't mind buying tickets for council. I have no problem with taxpayers' money going to a political
entered teams in political golf tournaments before.
No, but I'm referring to the West Nova fundraiser.
Ours? I don't
It's
think
a,
any, which one?
Used to do Robert's up in,
Yeah, before I was here, though. Richards.
okay.
Are we still on camera?
Yeah, we are. And for me, it wasn't the fundraiser, because obviously, I mean, nobody's good, none of us are gonna walk in and someone go, what? Because they know, okay, they know, but it's that opportunity.
The opportunity's good, but it's take it $25. That's the reality. Each one of us. We all have $25. The thing is 50.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this?
No, I have to go. I can't not go.
She should go, and that should be paid for. And if all the other counselors wanna go, I mean, we should pay out of our own pockets.
I got no problem with that, your worship.
Okay,
I'll make a motion
You're
that we send
coming,
the mayor to the town of Yarmouth to the West Nova Lisa Rayett.
Oh, I thought that's who it was. I think that should be spread. I mean, without her, where would we be with our ferry?
okay.
I've got no problem paying. I think the mayor of the town of Yarmouth should be there. I'll make a motion, mayor of the town of Yarmouth, to attend the fundraiser. And I'll make a motion if anybody else, they'll contact Linda, and Linda can get the tickets, and we can put our money to Linda.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Cheryl Birchall, correspondence, you good? Okay. Motion to go in camera, please. We're in camera for 3 minutes. Let's get her done. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, I'll play. So me, Barry Grover, Chris Gavin, Jared Coulter. So I walk
Now, those doors are locked, are they not, the front doors?
in the back of the golf course. And the premier's there watching the golf. And Richard's talking to somebody. The premier said, see, John. The premier says to me, he sticks his hand out. I said, how you doing? I said, good, Mr. Premier. How you doing? Roger McDonald, how you doing? Good. I said, thank you for supporting Richard, and I know you've done so over the years. Somebody else said it next to him, just in hysterics, laughing. I said, you believe what he said to you? I said, I can't quite believe it, but he said. You been to Tory fundraisers before?
Yeah, once.
Once?
No, this one, this past one, this, the Trevor, not Trevor.
make a motion that we adjourn.
We don't have to go into council. We've already made our decisions in there, and that's that?
No decisions.
Direction. So you get direction.